silence as we honor our veterans, our first responders, and our active military. Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our work session. We'll have a work session and a public meeting this week. Next week, we'll have several hearings, as well as on the 16th, we will also have hearings. So this month, the month of April, we will have three meetings rather, two of them being hearing nights, along with work sessions on an as-needed basis and public meetings as well. I'll entertain a motion for approval of bills and payroll.
Motion?
Motion by Trustee Casado. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Deputy Mayor Sartori. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Rivera.
Good evening. Resolved to approve the minutes of the meetings of the Board of Trustees from March 5th, March 12th, and March 19th, 2025.
Entertain a motion.
Motion.
Motion by Trustee Casado. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Salaski. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Resolved to approve a request from the Searing Group LLC to host a car show on Sunday, April 6, 2025, from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. in parking field number 14.
Okay, so this is the building called the Royal Blue, which is set to, so this coincides with their official opening, ribbon cutting. It does not interfere with the MAA. The MAA does not have any games. Unfortunately, the weather's not looking that great for this weekend, but I'll entertain a motion to approve the request for this weekend, weather permitting.
Motion.
Motion by Trustee Salaski. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Deputy Mayor Sartori. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And I believe that this is open to the public, correct?
Yes.
Yes, so open to the public this Sunday, April 6th, from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. By the Little League fields.
Resolved to approve a request from the Mineola Athletic Association in partnership with the Minor Board of the Gaelic Athletic Association for the use of Wilson Park Fields 2 and 3 on Saturday, April 26, 2025, from 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. for a Gaelic Football Development Day.
Okay, I don't know a whole lot about Gaelic football, but
Sort of like rugby, I hear.
Yeah, kind of,
Yeah.
I believe so.
I
So,
think so.
great. I think that's great, and I'll entertain a motion to approve. Hopefully it takes off.
Motion.
Motion by Deputy
Second.
Mayor Sartori, second by Trustee Casado. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Resolved to approve a request from the New York Portuguese American Leadership Council to conduct a Portugal Day Parade on Sunday, June 8th, 2025, starting at 11 a.m. along the route and the agenda.
Okay, hard to believe, but I believe this is the 11th year now that we've hosted the New York State Portugal Day Parade in Mineola. This coincides with the much older, probably 30 or 40 years of the Mineola Portuguese Center's annual carnival, so it's the same weekend. This is on the Sunday. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Motion.
Motion by Deputy Mayor Sartori, second by
Second.
Trustee Salaski. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Resolved to approve a request by the Mineola Union Free School District for the use of Wilson Park for its marching band home show on Saturday, October 18th, 2025, from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m.
I'll entertain a motion.
Motion.
Motion by Trustee Casado. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Deputy Mayor Sartori. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I'd ask our treasurer, Giacomo Ciccone, to please come up to do his board presentation during the work session. A reminder that next week we'll have a budget hearing, at which point, once again, our treasurer will make a presentation, and at that point, the public can participate. Today, this is just a presentation to the board. And I also do want to mention that Trustee Clark, unfortunately, could not be with us this evening, but we expect that he will be back next week. Mr. Ciccone.
Hello. Good evening, Mayor, Board, John G.
Good evening.
Tonight, I'm going to discuss the 25-26 budget, some of the big items. If you turn to page 2, which is the revenue items.
Just give us 1 second there, Mr. Ciccone. I have this electronically, but I want to kind of look at it as well.
It's Very secure.
Yeah, very secure, confidential. Okay, all set.
Okay. I'm gonna start with the revenue in the general fund, and it's on page 2.
Say that again?
Page 2.
Page 2.
Okay.
And if, I'm just gonna go over the big items. If you look at line 55, which is the pilot line, we're proposing to increase that by $35,000, and that's due to the addition of 155 First Street and 205 East Second Street. If you move along to line 68, which is interest income, we're proposing to increase that line by $185,000, as the interest rate has increased from 3.5% in February 24, now it's 4.22 we're getting as of March 2025. Another item on revenue is permits building. We're looking to increase that by $100,000, and we're due to anticipated commercial permits coming in 25, 26. Line 81, fines and forfeitures, we're looking to increase that by $100,000 because staffing in the parking department is full now, completed. We've hired everybody that we needed to. Line 88 is the Harrison Avenue Garage. We're looking to increase that by $128,000. New York NYU Langone Hospital is purchasing 50 additional parking spots in the Harrison Garage. They now they previously had 250, it'll be 300. So that's the big revenue items in the general fund. I'm gonna move to page page 5. And if you look at line 235, which is liability and fire insurance, and then you go to there's another line that's broken out in the fire department, line 295, which is on page 6. Between those two lines, we're looking to increase that by $181,005, and this is due to addition of new buildings and structures in the village's insurance policy and market conditions. Staying on page 5, if you look at line 239, the certiaries, we're looking to decrease that by $150,000. As a result of additional court cases, we're trying to pay them in 24, 25. Moving, staying with the expenses in the general fund. Page 11, line 539, which is pension costs. We're increasing that by $75,000 because New York State Retirement System is changing the average contribution from 15.2% of payroll to 16.5% of payroll. And staying on the same page, page 11, line 544, which is health insurance. We're looking to increase that by $140,000 as night shift rates have increased between 7 and 10%. Due to all the changes that's in the budget, I just went over a few of the big ones for fiscal year 25-26. Right now, we're looking at a tax levy increase of $265,385 from last year's budget. This equates to 1.81 for the tax levy, which is below 2%, which is the property tax cap in New York State.
All right, thank you. I know this is a busy time of year for you, but just to conceptualize it for us and for the public, what is roughly, you don't have to give me down to the penny, our budget for the year, give or take? 25, 26 million?
Yes.
So between 25 and 26 million. Of the 25 to 26 million, how much of that is from tax levy and how much of that is from, you know, revenue from the court, from the building department, from other sources? again, give or take, how much do we raise in taxes? About 13, 14 million? Or is-
We raise about 15 million.
So 15 million from, through the tax levy,
Yes,
and then the other 10 million or so from all these other sources
Of
of
revenue.
money that come in. And we have gotten, and Mr. Chacon has pointed out, we've been pretty fortunate these last couple of years that we were getting ARPA money that's set to end, or it's ended already.
It's ended already.
It's ended already. We did benefit from $1.1 million for the community center through a pro-housing grant. We did get the $4.5 million for the New York Forward grant. We have gotten some help from the county, from Legislator Strauss. We've gotten some help from State Senator Thomas. So we have been able to get some, we did get a substantial amount from the Community Benefits Fund through the Long Island Railroad, the third track project. But, you know, these things are finite, and these things, you know, come to an end, although we are always seeking to get new revenue streams. But then those are things we can't control, just like, and if you look at this, so just correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Chacon, but our health insurance, so contextually, let's just call our budget 26 million. 3 million of that 26 million, more than 3 million, 3.4 million is just for health insurance.
yes,
Is that correct?
yes.
Right? So think about that. So that comes right off the top. And then we're talking about, that's health insurance for our employees. We're not talking about insurance of the buildings, of our fleet, and things like that. And as you said, that's gone up about, 10 or 12% as well. So those things we can't, liability, fire insurance, and things of that nature. We built a new firehouse, so that obviously has to be insured, and all the things that are in there have to be insured as well. So, and the fact that our contributions as an employer to the New York State retirement system also went up,
Yes.
right? So we have to make that up on the revenue side somehow, and thankfully, we have a very robust and busy building department. We have and as you mentioned, our code enforcement has done a really great job, not only of enforcing our code, but also finding cost savings, whether it's through more efficient equipment like newer meters, whether it's through finding new customers like we did with the hospital, with an additional 50 spots in the Harrison Avenue garage, which is a guaranteed, I believe, $25,000 or $20,000 a month, right?
Right now, we're gonna be at 30.
At $30,000, guaranteed every month from NYU Langone.
Yes.
I mean, that's obviously a credit to our parking supervisor, who goes out and actively seeks to make our parking enforcement, our code enforcement more efficient, and as a result of that, we've been able to increase that line as well. Now, you have the tax certiorari's under expenses, but in a way, we're really saving $150,000 from last year.
Yes.
Because we had budgeted $300,000.
Right.
And now we're budgeting $150,000. And I know we've said this, and anyone who's paid attention, going back to the Sal Cataldo days, that was always a topic. Our tax certiorari's were well into the 1.2, 1.3, 1.4 million annually. That's payments that we had to give back to businesses and homeowners that had grieved their taxes because they had been overtaxed for years. And just to think about going from 1.2, 1.3 million down to 150,000, and Mr. Gibbons and Mr. Troncal and Mr. Trenicos do a great job of making sure that we pay out as little as we possibly can when we pay out tax cert. So that certainly has made it much more manageable. And we continue to allocate over $1 million to road paving and improvement.
Yes.
Right? So once you start at 3.4 for health insurance, 1.2 or 3 for road repaving, you're already at 5 million. Then we have obviously salaries and all of those things, maintenance, utilities, et cetera. We do, in my opinion, we do a lot for relatively a little. And not to compare apples and oranges, school districts their budget is our school district, for example, is $112 million. And I know it's a different situation, and it's, you know, I'm not trying to compare that, but for 26 million, of which only 14 or 15 million come from tax levy, and the rest comes from, you know, permit fees and fines and other sources, I think we do a pretty good job, so, thank you.
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor?
Thank you. I think you really sharpened your pencil for this one. I'm very happy that we are able to provide all the services that we do provide, and we're still able to keep it onto that tax levy. It's massive. I mean, I know you don't see us at home. This is public though, correct? People could come
Yes.
and see this, so if you're really interested, you could come and see this. This is all public record, but it's incredible, the amount of resources that we have and how much we're able to do with such little resources. And to the mayor's point, you know, it's a lot of burden on us automatically, such as the health insurance and the fire insurance and all those things. So when you come down to it, those resources are even smaller. So I thank you. I think you did a fabulous job at trying to keep us at a real reasonable number. And it's something that we could work with. So I thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I also want to add that if you read, you know, Newsday or local media, you'll see that many other villages are talking about double-digit increases, right? That they are increasing, you know, the water rates by 30%, or they are, their tax levy is going up, you know, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12%. So the fact that we can stay at around 1.81 while providing all these services, we've also been fortunate in a way, or it just has worked out this way, that we have had a number of retirements of senior employees that have been around. So we do lose the institutional knowledge, we do lose, you know, that experience, we do lose that maturity, but we also do lose their salary, and so that's something. And what we've done in some cases is we've literally also collapsed some of those positions, or we've been smarter in the way that we've replaced them, and certainly we've also replaced them with people who make you know, considerably less, and so that has been able to offset some of these other increases, like in health insurance and things like that. But obviously that's not going to be forever, but the timing has just worked out pretty well, that we've had a number of senior employees, not just in management, but employees that have retired or are planning to retire in the very near future, and that has been a benefit to us as we head into negotiations for a new collective bargaining agreement coming up.
If I could just say one more
Yep.
thing too. I just want to thank Mr. Rivera and Mr. Palumbo and everybody else on our team who proactively seek out grants and all this revenue streams from our state and local governments that they're out there. These grants are out there for everybody in New York State, and we are very aggressive about going after them, which is why we just got the grant for downtown. We just got the grant to improve our community center. So having those other revenue streams help us to provide more to our residents, where this is really about the nuts and bolts of running the village. So I thank you guys for that, because you're really amazingly proactive about all that.
And since Mr. Chacon went through the trouble of sending me this, although we've mentioned it here, I'm going to read it, Mr. Chacon. So this is some of the things that in the last year or two, that through the efforts of the team that the Deputy Mayor just mentioned, we got $2.75 million from the Long Island Railroad Expansion Project, the Third Track Project Community Benefits Fund. Some of that we used for the turf field over at Wilson Park, as well as other improvements in and around the train station. Nassau County gave us $366,000 in ARPA funds, $50,000 for first responder equipment. We had $12,000 for two of the concerts in the park, so they covered that. We, as the Deputy Mayor just mentioned, $1.133 million for the pro-housing capital improvements grant that we're going to use for the community center, and through the Empire State Development Corporation, we got the $4.5 million New York Forward, which we should be hearing about. So when you think, and we got other grants for water throughout, and we got some smaller grants for park improvements, $200,000 to $250,000 for Wilson Park improvements, which should begin shortly. Walkways and a new bocce ball court, resurfacing the parking lot and some other improvements as well. But we do also have big ticket items like the pool, the firehouse, the community center. So 1.1 million is great from the state, but that's not going to be the whole, community center. And by the way, when we talk about the community center, we're talking about the classrooms, the windows, the HVAC, the boiler, the floor, the lighting, the gym, the stage, the kitchen, the bathroom. No, the bathrooms we did. The bathroom's not included. So, and we hope to start that in this calendar year, towards the end of '25. So exciting things going on.
Yes.
Mr. Casado.
Yeah, the one question I had was concerning state aid, and Mr. Cohen already answered that question, because the state right now is sort of like,
Yeah, the state law is that they're supposed to have a budget by April 1st. Today is April 2nd. They don't have a budget, but this is pretty normal for the state.
Yes.
I don't think that our AIM or CHIPS or any of that is gonna fluctuate too much, so Mr. Chacon can plan our budget with a great degree of confidence
Yes.
in terms of state aid. It's not going to change, but we're certainly paying attention to it.
Yes.
Hopefully it'll change for the better. I know that NICOM, the New York Conference of Mayors, has, made it a point to try to make, to increase AIM funding, and of course, there's the argument about sales tax revenue being shared with villages, but that's not likely to happen, but we try. So we'll pay attention to the state budget, but we don't think that that's going to really move the needle too much one way or the other for us as a village.
Right.
Okay?
okay, that's it.
Anything else?
Yes, sir.
Trustee Salasky.
I just want to say thank you. This is not an easy job. There are so many things that are not within your control. And to present such a responsible budget, I think is amazing. And I thank you for all the hard work you did and all the other department heads in trying to keep the budget within reason, but advancing the state of the village. And I think it's wonderful, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else?
That was-
No? Okay, thank you. We'll see you next week. So
Yes.
again, next week it will be a budget hearing, at which point Mr. Chacon will be here, and will be here to answer any questions that the public may have. There will be copies of the budget available that you can look through, and if you have any questions, you could certainly reach out to our clerk's office. I believe at some point we also have copies at the library. Do we normally do that or no? No? We could? Well, here at Village Hall, through the clerk's office, okay? Mr. Palumbo.
Good evening.
Good evening.
First, request a resolution authorizing change order number 5 to the installation contract for Well 1 Phase 1, the 1,4-dioxane PFOA and PFOS treatment project, to repair all surfaces of the clear well to stop water penetration through the clear well ceiling. The contractor is Philip Ross Industries. The cost is $100,800, and the funding source is the contract allowance numbers 8 and 9, resulting in no change in the overall contract.
Okay, so this is just kind of an administrative thing. It doesn't change what we've already approved going back a couple of years. This is just a change order.
Yes.
Okay, entertain a motion?
Motion.
Motion by trustee Casado. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Salasky. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Next, request a resolution authorizing the engineering services for the review and evaluation of both water and sewer availability for the project located at 97 Main Street. Engineers are D&B Engineers and Architect, DPC, and the funding will be from the Developers Fund and/or the Water Fund Unreserved Fund Balance.
Okay, and a couple of weeks ago, we had a project here, the site of the buildings that burned down a couple of years ago on the corner of Main and 2nd Street. And that project, we want to do a hydraulic study to see what the availability. I know that we did the sewer line there not that long ago on Main Street.
Yeah, a few years back we
Years
did.
back. And so this is just for the architects, and of course, the developers usually have a developers fund where we either take it from there or we then seek reimbursement after the fact. Entertain a motion?
Motion.
Motion by trustee Casado. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by deputy mayor Sartori. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Request a resolution authorizing the engineering services contract for the 2025 road improvement contract. Engineers are D&B Engineers and Architects, DPC. The cost of $75,000 for the design and survey, and the funding will be from the 2025-2026 general fund budget and/or the general fund unreserved balance.
Okay, so this is for, not for what we're doing on Colonial, this is for what's coming.
Correct, that's what, for the next project coming up.
Coming up, okay. So as you know, this past year, we split the road work up over by Hampton Street School into the fall, then in the winter, now we're gonna start up again in the spring. But this is for this year's, but by this year, I mean this new year, 25-26, because our fiscal year starts on June 1. So entertain a motion for this authorization. Motion by Deputy Mayor Sartori. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Solosky. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
And one personnel item. Request a resolution authorizing the hiring of Jack Raffing, a laborer in the Highway Division of the Department of Public Works. The workdays and hours are Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., with a starting salary of $18 per hour accordance with the collective bargaining agreement.
Okay, entertain a motion.
Motion.
Motion by Deputy Mayor Sartori. Do I have a second? Second by Trustee Casado. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Great. Thank you, that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Palumbo. Mr. O'Keefe.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So the total number of electrical, plumbing, commercial, and residential permits issued in the month of March 2025 is 103. Just a few things. I just want to keep the residents informed that the owner of the property known as 109 Front Street, which is the one-story parking structure between 3rd Avenue and Front Street, has already begun installing their construction fence and will be to be able to demolish the structure. Portions of the sidewalk will be blocked for safety reasons, but obviously we will be closely monitoring the demolition. Only the parking structure has been issued a building permit, just to make sure everybody knows that.
A demolition permit.
Demolition permit, yes. If any residents have any questions on the project or concerns, please reach out to the building department. Warm weather brings in needs to cool our interior spaces as it gets hotter. And just as a reminder that new HVAC units such as central air or mini split units require building permits and electrical permits, and those pursuing these options are encouraged to contact the building department for applications or any additional information. Lastly, which is a very important one, but I would request that all residents run a test on their smoke and carbon monoxide detectors to make sure they are in operating condition. These detectors only have a 10-year lifespan. And that's all I have for tonight, just if anybody has any
Okay,
questions.
one thing while you're up there that I want to remind everyone, with the warm weather also comes weeds and growth, and again, Mr. O'Keefe's office and this village aggressively pursues, especially commercial properties that let their, properties their property maintenance not be up to standard. So we make sure that we remind them gently, and if that doesn't work, then of course, a notice of violation or a summons will be issued. So please, make sure that you keep your property clean, free of weeds, free of growth, free of garbage. We have initiated this program where our sanitation workers do go out and clean loose debris from our main commercial arteries, weather permitting, but we should all do our part.
Yeah.
Just an interesting story. Just 2 days ago, I was driving on Mineola Boulevard, and right between Garfield and Grant, I saw an individual waiting for a bus, drinking a cup of coffee, and after he finished, he literally just threw it on the ground. I stopped and honked, and I went, "What are you doing?" I mean, a grown man did this, and he looked at me, and he was embarrassed, and he picked it up. What he did with it after that, I don't know, but I did drive by like an hour later to pick up my daughter from religion, and the cup wasn't there. But I mean, you have to have some common sense.
Yeah,
Literally
and respect.
drank.
Yeah.
I watched him. He threw his cup down on the floor. I stopped and I gave him one of these, and I guess he was embarrassed. But Unfortunately, not everybody, thinks like we do, so, and he may have been a resident from the building. This was right in front of the presidential apartment buildings. So
We
it's
all live
it's
here.
unbelievable what people will do. So we'll be on top of people to make sure that they keep their properties clean.
As always. And we will be sending out that reminder notice that we do every year by the end of this month, just to kind of get it on everybody's radar to stay on top of it, so.
Any questions, any doubts, any issues about anything that is going on, reach out to the building department, and they will, and of course, you could also go on GoGov, on our app, and put anything down. We'll be sure to get back to you.
Absolutely.
Okay? Thank you, Mr. O'Keefe.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Mr. Gibbons?
I don't have anything, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. I'll entertain a motion to close the work session.
Motion?
Motion by trustee Salaski. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by deputy mayor Sartori. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. It's past 7 o'clock, so we're just gonna go right into our public meeting. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to spring, I think, although it doesn't feel like spring. We do have our Little League Parade scheduled for this Saturday, April 5th. It doesn't look like it's going to happen. Weather is not going to cooperate, so the rain date would be the following Saturday, April 12th, and it would leave from Wilson Field, the parking lot, and then go down Second Street over to the Little League field. So just we'll put out information via social media. I'm sure the MAA will as well, but it's not looking like we're going to be able to get that done. I'd also like to remind everyone that on April 13th, which is a Sunday, the Long Island Portuguese Lions Club will have their annual Palm Sunday breakfast, which traditionally for the last 29 years has been at the Mineola Portuguese Center on Jericho Turnpike, because obviously the Portuguese Center on Jericho Turnpike is undergoing construction renovations. It is now at the Portuguese Heritage Society on Willis Avenue by the Little League Field. So I happen to be a Lion. This is one of their major fundraising events of the year. You get a lot for a little. I believe it's from 7:30 to 12 or 8 to 12. So if you go to Mass, if you go to church, go right down to, I believe it's 133 Willis Avenue, the Portuguese Heritage Society, on Sunday the 12th. This Saturday, at the Portuguese Heritage Society, the folklore group, which you've seen participate in our parades, whether it's Homecoming Parade or the St. Patrick's Day Parade, or of course the Portugal Day Parade, they are celebrating 40 years of existence. So I will be there to recognize that accomplishment. We're talking about now second and third generation, very similar to the Irish step dancers that we have that are affiliated with the Irish American Society. These are mostly young children already born here who want to carry on the traditions of their parents' and grandparents' homeland. And with that, I'll turn it over to the Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. I just wanted to, I've gotten a couple of questions, so I just wanted to let the public know, in case you don't know, the work that's being done on the bridge over on Mineola Boulevard. You see it's kind of blocked off from walking. Thanks to Legislator Strauss, we were able to secure funds to resurface that bridge because it was kind of falling apart a little bit. So that's ongoing work just to resurface the bridge. So sorry for any inconvenience, but that's what that is. And yes, welcome to spring. It seems to be a wet one, but hopefully I will see you at the MAA parade next week. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Trustee Casaro?
Thank you. Well, I want to echo the remarks that the mayor said. For me, the Little League Parade, got to go back a gazillion years, when I was 8 years old, when I used to be a Little Leaguer and watching that parade. So I hope it, again, weather permitting. And regarding that Palm Sunday breakfast, you got to go. It is absolutely a great Portuguese. It's absolutely a great, great breakfast. Thank you.
Trustee Salaski?
Just that I hope to see a lot of residents at the Little League Parade if it happens this Saturday. If not, then the next weekend. So hope to see everyone there. Thank you.
Thank you. And as we're talking about inaugurations, last Friday, I went to Long Island Rap Pros and Mechanic at 133 East Jericho Turnpike, right across from Piccolo's. New family, hardworking family has taken over an existing automotive shop. They cleaned it up, it looks beautiful inside, and they do car wrappings. Apparently this is a thing now where instead of painting your car, you can actually wrap your car, and it looks like paint, and you could put some drawings on it, or you could just literally do it a solid color. So pay them a visit, really great people, and we're glad that they chose Mineola. Happens to be a volunteer firefighter, not in the Mineola Volunteer Fire Department, but up in Great Neck. His son and his daughter are both also volunteer firefighters, so it's great. And then the other thing that many people have noticed, I certainly have noticed, is all these telephone poles going up on Jericho Turnpike. These bigger, taller, sturdier telephone poles. Myself and Clerk Rivera met with representatives from the state, and we wanted to put them on notice that we want those secondary poles, because what's happened is they've replaced these poles with these bigger poles, but they've left the other pole there because, you know, PSE&G has to come in and you know, replace it, then Cablevision has to come in, and then Verizon has to come in, and then everybody has to move their utilities. We just don't want to be stuck with these poles for years and years and years, the secondary ones. So we just want to make sure that, because it doesn't look that nice. The new poles look nice, but having the old poles next to it doesn't look nice. So we are on it. We will contact our state officials to make sure that this gets done as expeditiously as possible, because it really leaves a lot to be desired. We've also are going to meet with the railroad to talk about the property on the southeast corner of Willis Avenue and 2nd Street. You know, the grade crossing elimination project, in case you haven't noticed, is completed. We're not too happy with the state of that property there. So again, we've reached out to the state, we've reached out to the Long Island Railroad, the MTA, and next week we're meeting with them to try to get that into a state of, you know, where it looks nice. So, you know, the construction fence is there, that's gotta go, be replaced with another fence. It collects garbage, you know, there's things there that are unsightly, so we're on top of that as well. And last but not least, a lot of people have asked about or inquired about the Western Beef property and the storage of those trucks and machinery and all that. As I've said here in the past, it is temporary. It is imminent that they will move those. This is from an aquifer drilling company that's further down on East 2nd Street, and they worked out a deal with the Western Beef property to temporarily house these things there while they repaved, put in drainage on their own property. And now as they are concluding that, Mr. O'Keefe is on top of that, so we're hoping that that will happen very, very soon, and certainly before we get into the warmer months, as people walk around. It's just, that's not the place for that. East 2nd Street, industrial, manufacturing, that's where it belongs. It doesn't belong there, and you know, that's not permanent, okay? Okay, anybody else? No? Anyone from the public wishing to speak? Mr. Reese, no? Nothing? Just came in? All right, well, it's good to see you. You live on Colonial, right? Yep. All right. Okay, we're almost done. We're almost done. We'll get there. Any problems? Talk to Mr. Palumbo. Any compliments? Talk to me. Thank you, good seeing you. I'll entertain a motion to close the public meeting.
Motion.
Motion by Deputy Mayor Sartori. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Solosky. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Did I forget anything? You got everything? Okay. We hope to see you at the parade on Saturday. If not, we'll see you at the parade the following Saturday. And again, we have hearings next Wednesday and the following Wednesday. Hope to see you here. Thank you. Have a great night, everyone.